Hey, so good morning. It has been quite a while since I have made a video or uploaded anything. Let me close my door. I feel a little weird with that door being open. Okay, so got all the hair chopped off. Not looking as cute today as it normally does. My volume has fallen. It is storming in Tennessee. We just had, we just had an earthquake. Did anybody hear about that? So I'm just gonna touch up my makeup a little bit because I threw on just a little bit before I left the house today. Had to get to work super early. So yeah, I feel like it has been years since I have done a video. But I just wanted to hop on because I'm getting ready to, I'm missing things out of my makeup bag, so trying to figure out with this little bit that I do have how I'm gonna fix this face. It's not gonna be easy. I'll just use my camera and talk to you while I do it. The horridness of using, having to wear glasses. So, you can get ready with me while I'm ready and at work. CoverGirl, let me not hide. CoverGirl powder, I'm just trying to kind of freshen up. I'm not wearing any foundation, primer, or anything today. Got up late for work and it was horrible. So, that was a no-go. Gonna tighten up my eye look a little bit, and that's about it because I'm that lazy today. So I'm getting ready to start a series on MDS. You guys know that I am an MDS nurse. I had stepped back onto the floor for a while, but you know what, let's just be honest. My brain works MDS style, and so that's where I'm most comfortable. I don't know why this eye is always harder. Well, it's also hard because I have no real lighting in here, like over my desk area, and I have this big, huge hutch. So, one eye might, in fact, let me turn that way and check. I have to make sure one eye is not like super goth dark and make me look like I'm 6 trying to get ready. I have lately just started using, and this is the cheapest little palette. I got this at the Dollar Tree, just an LA Colors neutral matte palette. I use that for my bottom eyeliner because if I put actual eyeliner on, it's gonna stay about 10 minutes and then be gone. So, and we don't got time for that. We don't got time for that. But so MDS, CMS is. Oh, I don't have any mascara or lashes. That's gonna be cute. MDS is changing, and I had been wanting to do an MDS series for, I think, like a year now. I've been saying, oh, I'm gonna do this MDS series, and never got around to it. Ended up switching jobs, switching position. Let me see if I can't do a little something with this hair. Who remembers this? Good old rave. Keep it in my purse. Put on some smell good. Got to have the smell good. I always squirt a squirt in my purse. I know you guys just saw that. My grandmother used to do that, and she said that when you get up from the table, if you leave your purse, you want your smell to remain. It's almost kind of like marking your territory. My grandmother was Italian and weird, but I love her. So, in 2019, we are going to start this whole new payment system. Maybe that'll give me some height. What do you think? we're going to start this whole new PDPMS, PDPM is the actual name for it. I always add in things. I don't know why. They didn't ask me to name it. I just took that upon myself. Payment-driven, patient-driven payment model. Let's see. I can't do two things at once. So the black eyeliner that I use on the top, just in case you're curious, is Bombshell. And love it. I think I got it in an Ipsy bag. Pretty sure that's where I got that Bombshell from, was an Ipsy bag. Because it's not the unique one that I got. You know, I've done almost every multi-level marketing scheme out there, and unique was the one I hated the worst. Let's see, what color lips do we want today? We'll go with just a little tint of color. And I'm not putting any eyeshadow on today because I don't have lashes or mascaras. So, this is one of my Revlon Ultra HD Matte Lip Color. This color is HD Kisses. So what I like to do, I haven't been big on lip color unless it's my lip sense, and that's just a personal preference. So I take out the doe foot and wipe off like every single bit of it. And this is a really deep doe foot. And then I just use the tip of the doe foot to smooth it out. Gives me a little bit of color. Hi, look at Mount Himalaya right there. Isn't that cute? At my age. Anyway, my job. I'm such a scatterbrain. But, so this patient-driven payment model is, for those of you who know anything about MDS, or if you've watched any of my other videos about MDS where I just kind of rattled for a little bit. Last year in 2018, everything went patient specific. So previous to that, look at these big, huge, I need Botox and a facelift. Everything had just kind of been like template form. So for creating care plans, you had a generalized, if the person had hypertension, this is what we were going to focus on. Now everything is patient specific. So it's more like a narrative of the person to give very direct and specific care. I love that because it's like writing a little book about each one of your patients. So I'm in love with that whole concept. So that the patient specific, like the individualized, that rolled out 2018. And I stepped out of MDS spring of this year, and then fall of this year fell back into it. And so I got myself, oh, that was horrible sounding, got myself caught up on all of the, please don't turn off, you're the only little bit of light I have over here. I had got myself caught up on all the new regs and stuff like that, and now they're changing it again. That is one of the lovely things about MDS, is that it changes continually. I personally like that because I'm a nerd and I like to evolve and I like to learn. So 2019, everything is going to be dependent on the person. Going through training now, watching webinars, participating in educational seminars to learn exactly how to complete the new surveys that are going to come in. So the amount of surveys is going to decrease. The intensity of the survey is going to, or the assessment is going to increase, because they're going to add stuff in, but they're taking away the number that are mandatory for us to do to follow a person's stay. And it's just all new and exciting. And I really can't wait for everything to be implemented. Let's put that in shred and not in trash. And so it's all very exciting and new. Now, I'm still so not organized. I don't think there will ever come a time in my life where I will be totally organized and not hummingbird brained unless I decide to medicate myself. Not self-medicate, that came out right. Unless I decide to go to the doctor and say, hey, I have horrible ADHD, can you help? And that's probably never going to happen. I accept me for me, and it helps me do my job very well. So I need to call that lady back. She called 2 days ago. So for those of you who have kind of popped in and out of my channel, that's the new series that'll be coming up. It's nursing based. I think that's the direction that my channel is going to go, because MDS is such a huge part of my life, and one of the things that I love most about my job is the fact that I get to fight the battles for the people who have no voice, basically. So what I mean by that is I take the information and I educate the nurses and the CNAs on how to, my salt lamp has fallen apart. I educate them on how to document correctly so that the people that come in, their insurance companies will see them progressing and not plateauing, and they can extend their stays and they can get what they need and they can go home with home health, and that's all very exciting for me. Always has been. But with the new rules that are being applied and the new payment structure, I'm a little bit nervous about that, simply because it's a one-day switch. It's a hard switch is what they call it, and there's no time for, there's no learning curve. It is what it is. On October 1st of 2019, this is what we are now. So a little nervous, a little excited. So that will be a huge focus. I don't want to say the only focus. Look, I look a mess today. I don't want to say the only focus of my channel, because I had intended on doing some true crime, which I'm actually in the process of looking up some stuff to do a true crime video. And I also wanted to do some health and beauty. So I originally started this channel to be health and beauty. It was going to be get ready with me, makeup suggestions and do's and don'ts, and weight loss. Black coffee. Oh, look at this amazing cup that call her my work wife, because I can't work without her. If you're a nurse, you understand. Well, not even just a nurse, but this is my amazing coffee cup that she got me for my birthday. One of the best presents I've ever gotten in my life. But my channel originally was started for weight loss, and that is getting ready to be another huge focus. I have lost 10 pounds. I kind of yo-yoed over, since January of this year, I've just yo-yoed. I was in a job where I was miserable and I was sitting at my desk eating. If you look back a couple of videos, you'll see what I mean by that. You can see some of the weight loss, like I've got new wrinkles and stuff where the elasticity of my skin is not the same because of the yo-yoing. And so this is a huge, huge focus of mine, is to get back on track. And I have multiple things that I'm doing. Eating right, exercising. I'm going back to Planet Fitness. I'm not sponsored by them, but damn do I love them. They're open whenever, and sometimes when I can't sleep and it's like, okay, so I get up for work at 2:30. I usually go to bed about 6:30 or 7. I have had chronic insomnia, so to me, going to bed means laying down and being still. It doesn't necessarily mean sleeping. So 6:30 or 7, I'm in my bed. I'm usually laying there watching YouTube. Should have been doing YouTube videos this whole time, but no. Or, you know, I have my grandkids or whatever. There are times when I'm so miserable laying there because I can't get comfortable that I will hop up and run to the gym. And so I am proud to say that I have again lost 10 pounds. I have managed to keep it off now for about a month and a half. Getting ready to go weigh myself right now. Should have done that before I did this video. But I am taking a butt ton of supplements. I went yesterday and was looking at some collagen, but the collagen said that it was hair, skin, and nails, but I saw something, I saw like an infomercial one where it was for weight loss as well. So I need to do a little bit more investigation before I go spending the money to buy the collagen, because hair, skin, and nails, I don't really have a problem with. My nails grow like crazy. My hair grows like crazy. And with the exception of a couple breakouts here and there, my skin's not that bad. So anyway, still doing the lip sense, and I'll do a video or two about that. I'm torn on what I want to do. I think I may do a nursing channel and then do a health, beauty, and fitness channel. But then that leaves me with my true crime, and where do I stick that? I don't know. Maybe I'll do true crime about nursing and combine those two. The things you come up with at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, guys, well, I got to get to work because today's going to be a short day for me. Just wanted to pop on here and say howdy do, and we are getting ready to really get serious. So if you happened upon the channel and you are an MDS nurse, or you are a nurse in general and you're curious about what is MDS, I keep hearing about MDS, and this MDS nurse keeps asking me all these questions, stick around. You're going to get an eye-opener. Hopefully it'll be a little bit of education for all nurses in all fields. And so I will be doing a video later this afternoon, probably on my drive home, because it is still an 1.5-hour drive. So you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Peace and palm love. Good morning. Another video. Probably this one and yesterday's are gonna go up at the same time. You know, I'm a nurse. What can I say? Let me grab some coffee. So I hate when I have to go out of frame. However, I need the coffee. I need it. It was a long night last night, and my pockets are full. You know, nurses' pockets are always full. Breakfast of champions. Let me just show you. It's what's left of my bag of Funyuns. My diet's going pretty good, but every once in a while, I absolutely have to have something that's not meant for me to have. All that crinkling. And I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. We're gonna leave those here. Normally, I take things like that home on the weekend and give them to my daughter, but probably gonna end up needing those again next weekend, or next week. So, running late this morning, however, I had been talking about wanting to start my MDS series, and I think that's exactly what we're gonna do today. So, for those of you who are thinking about becoming an MDS nurse, or have kind of gotten bits and pieces about what MDS is. So MDS is minimum data set, and you take the information about the care of the patient, resident, whatever your facility calls them. I call them resident. You take their information, you compile it on the computer, and you answer all their little questions, and then you submit it. Your UB codes for insurance are transmitted. Oh, there's something on my phone. I was like, what is on my neck? So your insurance, your Medicaid, Medicare, all your payer sources depend on this information to validate the need for the person to stay in your facility, which is amazing because it's like putting together a puzzle, and I absolutely love it. So currently we are using the RUG 4 schedule. I don't know why my hair will not, it's supposed to like have this cute little bump right there, but it's too heavy. So we're using RUG 4, which means they take all these identifiers, and it places, you get basically a score at the end, and I'm trying to break this down for people who don't have any MDS experience, so that if you're interested in it, you'll get like the groundwork, okay? So you have your ARD, which is the date that your assessment reference date, and that's the date that you are looking back for 7 days on the care of this person in order to generate revenue for them. Okay, it seems pretty easy, right? You're just doing an assessment, which, I mean, in all honesty, that's kind of what it is. You're just doing an assessment, so it should be easy. It's not easy. You have to make sure that all your qualifiers are in and that they're in the right spot, or you get these wonderful little rejections, or you get warnings and things like that from the state when you submit them. So it currently has, when you look at your, I'm trying to pull it up. When you look at your MDS assessments, you have section A, B, C, D, E, no F, G, 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 H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, and then X and Z. So what I thought I would do is for, before we start this new rule in 2019, what I was gonna do is do a series to get each of these sections broke down, so that if you're in MDS and you're having any questions, or if you're thinking about moving into MDS, which is, it's a big change, especially if you're coming off the floor, because you see a lot of things in the charting that you're like, oh my gosh, you're not doing this correctly. And so there's a lot of education that has to go back out to your nurses and your CNAs, because a lot of the time they don't know that anybody is actually looking at this. So I tell everybody in my building, I'm basically like the Sherlock Holmes, and I go through and make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and if they don't know how, then I teach them. So we will start out today with section A, and the software that I'm using in this particular setting is a little different than all the ones that I've used before, but the questions are the same. It's just the setup is different, and I really need to think about getting that Botox. Look at these, they call them smile lines. I don't walk around smiling all the time. I call them my jowls. They're my jowls. But I think a facelift is coming. So in section A, basically what you're doing is you're identifying your person. And this is the demographic section. So like your facility provider number, your certification for CMS, your state provider number, what type of provider are you? So we are a nursing home SNF nursing facility. We are an acute rehab, we have respiratory, we do vents and trachs here, and dialysis. So we are a broader spectrum, but we fall under SNF. And then after you've identified who you are and your correct term or your correct identifiers are in there, then it wants to know what kind of assessment are you doing on this person. Now coming into MDS, this was kind of hard for me because they added some things. When I first started doing MDS, all we had to do was the admission, and now the second they roll in the building, you have to do what's called an entry. The entry is just a few questions that ask, they want their demographics, and then they're asking where'd they come from. How did you get this person? Most of the time it's an acute hospital. So the A0310 is asking you, and when you hear me refer to that, I will actually show you. I will print out an MDS and show you in one of the videos. I probably should have thought to do that for today, but so your A0310 is your type of assessment, and you have multiples to choose from, and you can combine some and you cannot combine some based off of the payer source and what's going on. So like if you have an admission 5-day, and I'll get into the schedule in the next video of what's required right now, because it's all changing, and when I do the PDPM, when I start on that, you'll understand why I'm not going to really get into that. So for right now, basically, when the person comes in, you do the entry, and then you do an admission, and you do a 5-day. 5-day and admission are usually combined just out of convenience. And then you have a 14-day, a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day. Then you roll into quarterlies if they still stay. So for the particular one that I was working on this morning, it's a 30-day. And there are different blocks. There's A0310A, which wants to know, is it an admission, a quarterly, an annual, a significant change in status, a significant change to a previous assessment that you've done that maybe you just need to correct some stuff on, which you can do. So if you submit one, and like the other day I submitted somebody for PT of 3,762 minutes because it was 372 minutes and I was trying to do too many things at once. So I will say this at the beginning: if you're thinking about becoming an MDS coordinator, understand that once you start, your assessment, your brain has to stay in your assessment. You can't have somebody knock on the door and say, hey, can you come help me with this? You can't answer the phone and deal with Jim Bob's mom is in room whatever and needs new socks. Can't do it. You got to stay focused. So your 0310A is admission quarterly annual sig change. And then your B section is for your 14-day, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, or an unscheduled, which we'll get into later. There's going to be a lot of that get into later. And then your C is it an OMRA? I probably should have done all the terminology for you guys first, but hey guys, it's 5:30 in the morning, so I'm just getting through section A. I'll do the terminology later. I'll go through everything later. OMRA, other Medicaid required assessment. So it's asking you in section C, and then it's asking you, is this a swing bed clinical change assessment? Is the assessment the first assessment OBRA scheduled or discharged since their last assessment or their most recent entry? Because sometimes you'll have people going in and out of the hospital. And then you have section F is your entry discharge. So that entry one that I was telling you about, that's where you'll find that. And it pops up and it just asks you again where they came from. And then your discharge is just a mini summary of how you sent them back out and where you sent them to. And then it asks you what kind of discharge was this? Was it planned or unplanned? So if they get sick and have to be sent out to the hospital, of course, that's unplanned. If they've completed their therapy and they've gotten their NOMNIC notice, then it's a planned. Or if they just say, I don't want to stay here, I'm going home on Friday, and you set up home health and you get transportation, that's a planned. And then H is this a SNF PPS Part A discharge, end of stay assessment? So that one was added in to signal end of therapy, basically. They come in, they're a Medicaid patient, they're receiving therapy, and then they transition to long-term care. Well, they're no longer Medicaid skilled. They are now Medicaid long-term, Medicare skilled, then they transition to Medicare long-term, and then Medicaid or second payer source private, whatever their payer source, Medicare needs to know they're no longer skilled. And so that's how you do that. A0500 is the legal name of the resident, and they want the actual legal name. So if Betty June comes in, but her name is actually Roberta has to be in there. Can't be Betty June. Basically whatever's on their insurance information, social security card, identification. 0600 is their social security and Medicare numbers. So let me tell you, social security numbers are very easily transcribed incorrectly by your admissions office if you have one, unless you're doing it yourself and then you're putting it in. But it's easy to transpose numbers or to think that you're seeing something on a paper that maybe is a different number. Make sure your social security numbers are correct. 0700 is your Medicaid number. 0800 is your gender. 0900 is their birth date. A lot of this your admissions people get when they get the referral from the hospital. And then A1000 is their race and ethnicity. It offers you this: American Indian or Alaskan Native, Asian, Black or African American, Hispanic or Latino, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, and white. If you start to do an assessment and that box is not checked, get up and go look at your person, because I cannot tell you how many times I have brought up an assessment and the race and ethnicity was put in incorrectly by the admissions nurse, because there would be a little African American man and he would be marked as Asian, or there would be a little Asian man and he'd be marked as white. That it's important that we get the information correct all the way around. But that's something that's as simple as just going and looking at somebody, and then if you get somebody who you think is of mixed races, ask them. And if they can't answer you because they're non-responsive or they're just not able, maybe their cognition is impaired, call the RP, call the POA, call somebody in the family and say, hey, I'm verifying identifying markers and I want to make sure that I get the ethnicity right. What ethnicity did Joe Bob claim? It's not hard, folks. Get their ethnicity right. Get their race right. Then A1100, A1100 is their language. 1200 is the marital status. I can't tell you how many times I pull up assessments and that is left unmarked. You are either never married, widowed, divorced, married, or separated. It's what you are. There's no other choices. It doesn't ask if it's a legal marriage. I think that when the state reviews it, it has to be a legal marriage. But it's not asking you, do you have a boyfriend? It's an easy question. And again, if you can't ask the person that's, I don't know why that's bothering me so bad today. If you can't ask the person that's laying in the bed that you're getting ready to provide care for, call somebody that's on their face sheet and ask them, hey, is Joe Bob married? Was he married? Is he widowed? You know, you don't have to have a conversation and do a Jerry Springer episode about how many children they may or may not have by whoever. Are they married or not? And then you have optional resident items, which is the room number, the MR medical record number. And then there is a section in there that says the name they wish to be addressed. So if Junebug likes to be called Junebug and her name is Dorothy, you put Dorothy in the first section and you can put Junebug in that section. That's perfectly fine. And then A1600 is your entry date. And then the type of admission or type of entry is admission or re-entry. So if they have left and went to if you get them the first time, they're in admission. If you've had them for a period of time and you send them out and they're gone for 3 qualifying days, 3 midnights, you start all over basically with them, but they would be considered a re-entry. And then your admission date, so that's the date that the care began in your facility. That is A1900. A2000 is your discharge date, and of course that's only filled out if they're discharged or deceased. Your discharge status, it wants to know where you're sending them to, and there's quite a few. There's 10 options, but 99 is other, and I don't know what other would be. You have community, which is your private homes, apartments, boarding home, assisted living, group homes. Then you have another nurse home or swing bed. So if my person left me to go to another nursing home, that would be appropriate. Acute hospital, so if they're sick and I send them out. Psych hospital, so if they're having psychiatric episodes and you send them out, that's appropriate. Inpatient rehab, so if they go to a rehab. Then you have IDDD facility, hospice, deceased, long-term care hospital, and other. I still haven't figured out what other is. I mean, are we sending them on vacation and other would be appropriate? I don't know. Previous assessment reference date for significant correction is A2200, and that only is applicable if you have to make a significant change to a previous assessment. Your assessment reference date, otherwise known as ARD, is A2300. A2400 is your Medicare stay, and this is critical that you get this right. If they come in on Medicare, your start date of the most recent Medicare stay is your entry date, and then you put dashes in the C section, and again, when I print it out, I'll show you guys. It'll make a lot more sense, and I promise this is the most boring part of it, but I feel like MDS coordinators who have absolutely no experience, if they don't have a really good trainer, they don't have to go through this boring, monotonous part of it, because whoever's over you, usually the DON, is wanting those assessments churned out to generate that revenue, and there's not a lot of time for you to just sit down and read these questions and understand them, and it's critical that you do that. People don't understand how important MDS is to the nursing world, much less to SNFs. So the end of the most recent Medicare stay, that is also applicable when they are Medicare skilled and they transition long-term, and you're doing that end of stay, but it's not it's not a discharge. It's just an end of the Medicare stay for skilled. So that date will play in there as well. So as you can see, Section A is just demographics. It's identifying who we are, who we're giving care to, where we got them from, who's going to be the payer source, when did all of this start. That's what Section A is about. So I think what I'm going to do is pull up my list of acronyms and go through OBRA, OMRA, ARD, all those little terms that MDS coordinators use, make a really quick snippet and splice it onto this one, and then I'll upload everything. We're almost at 20 minutes just for Section A. You guys, this is crazy. I watch 1.5 to 2 hour long webinars about this stuff. So I'm trying to condense it and yet make it understandable. And as we transition over to PDPM, which is the new payment, it's going to be based completely off of each individual person. It's not going to be a generalized set of identifiers anymore. So I'm excited about it, but not. It's always nerve-wracking when you're going to start something new. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I will get that printed out version so that I can show you and go through it quickly, and then I'll do the acronyms and then upload them, and then we move on to the fun stuff, and then I'll teach you guys a little bit about how to educate your staff to do it correctly. So you guys enjoy your morning. I'm going to enjoy my coffee and then rearrange my office because it's Friday. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace and palm love. Good morning. So I'm going to finish up on the MDS portion. I had said that I was going to put all the videos together, and I'm ready to do that. I printed out the blank portion so that we could go through it together. It's gonna go by faster because I have it in front of me, and so we can do it a little bit easier. So I'm trying to do this because I'm not in Sunday school and I'm not in school actually like doing a video. So we had went through the sections last time. You can reference back to those. This is just going to be a brief review so that you can actually see what I'm talking about. So in Section A, you have your provider certification and state provider number. That's this portion. Those are standard, okay? Those are your identification numbers for your facility. And then you have your type of provider, and these are your SNF or your swing bed, which 98% of everybody who's going to be watching this is going to be considered a SNF. And then you have your type of assessment, which we had talked about, and you just check and see which assessment is appropriate. And like I had explained in, hi, let me share the screen. Like I had explained in the last video, there are multiple ways that you can combine them and multiple reasons to do them. So you have admission, quarterly, annual, significant change in status, significant, sorry, still sick, significant correction to prior comprehensive or prior quarterly or not an OBRA. So if you have a person who is discharged like to the hospital, you're going to choose not OBRA, and you're going to the little bit of hair I have is falling out and it's like sticking to my arm. You're going to check not PPS assessment, and then you'll do discharge, either return anticipated or return not anticipated. So sometimes we have residents that we have to send out for, say, psych review, and we know that we are not going to be taking them back. So that would be return not anticipated. So you would check the box most appropriate for the type of assessment that you're doing. And then this is the section A0500, legal name of residence. 600 is your social and your Medicare. 700 is your Medicaid. And then your gender, please get your gender correct. You will get a warning on those. So that's what it looks like. And I realize that most of us are doing these on the computer now. The questions are the same. I just wanted you to get a visual, especially if you're a new MDS coordinator. It's hard when you don't have somebody going through each of these boxes and telling you why you're checking them to know why you're checking them. So that was the purpose of going through each and every single one. And then your marital status, if you don't know if they've ever been married, if they are married, if they're widowed, ask your POA, ask your RP, ask your hospital representative, your case manager. Somebody should know if they're not able to answer for themselves. Most of the time you can ask your resident. The only part with that is sometimes the people with dementia think that their husband's in the next room, that their wife went to the store, so you got to be careful on that. And then you have your medical record room number, the name that they prefer. So we had talked about that in the last video. Your legal name on section 0500 is what's on their birth certificate. Their name that they prefer to be called. My legal name is Nicole. I prefer to be called Nick. So that's what would go in 1300C, and lifetime occupation. This is really important too when you are admitting your residents. Get to know them. I have met many nurses who have come in and they're in their 80s and 90s, and when they're being a little bit resistant to care, if you start talking in nursing terms to them, they're more apt to be a little bit more compliant with what you're wanting. And then your pre-admission screening, your PASSR. So our facility here, it's not the same in every facility, so you need to figure out what goes on in your facility. We have a PAE PASSR nurse that's what they do. They are the case manager. They make sure that paperwork is in hand prior to them coming, because your PASSR has to be done before they roll in the door. Don't let anybody tell you different. At another facility that I was at, I actually did PAE, PASSRs, VA liaison, floor nurse, and MDS assessments. And so I was wearing quite a few hats, and so I have a little bit better understanding of that. So your PASSR basically lets the state know if they have a pre-existing condition in the psych realm, depression, anxiety, if they have a disability from birth, things like that. That's what the PASSR will cover. Your MRDD status, your Down syndrome autopsy. Don't be doing autopsies. Autism, epilepsy, and other organic conditions. Those will be in your 1500 and your 1550, and those have to be checked appropriately because your documentation has to match up. Again, don't let somebody come into your building that doesn't have a current PASSR. Your entry date is the date of the admission or re-entry into your facility. So if they come in on a Tuesday, make sure you have Tuesday's date in there. You'll get an error. Your type of error, is it an admission? I don't know why I can't talk today. Or re-entry. And then where'd they come from? This is what we were talking about before. So you have on 1800 right here, community, you have your different choices right through there, and you'll just check which one. Most of them are going to be acute hospital because that's where your people are going to come from. And then your discharge date is only applicable if you're doing a discharge, and then your status, where are you sending them to. Your previous assessment reference date in the computer, it usually defaults, but these two right here, this one usually defaults to your previous one, and this one is the one you're currently working on. Your Medicare state, now that was what we were talking about, is extremely important that you get correct. If you have somebody who is, I'll print one extra sheet. We're not going to get into section B today. If you have somebody who is Medicare payment, you need to make sure that their Medicare stay date is correct. The day of their entry is going to be the first day of their Medicare applicable stay date. And then you just dash out the second section until they're discharged. Either their Medicare turns to Medicaid and they roll over to long-term care, or they discharge from the facility and it'll be their last day that they're there. That's to make sure you get covered for that whole entire payment. I'm trying to clean my glasses. Can't do 54 things at once. So this one was a little bit shorter because I just wanted you to get a mini visual. That would have been helpful when I was first learning MDS. If I would have had the paper version, what I recommend is you just Google blank MDS form, and it will bring up the MDS 3.0. That's the current system that's being used. Print that out and read through each of the sections. You need to know that M is for skin, and N is for medication, and I is active diagnosis. And when we get into those sections, you'll understand why it's important to have those references. And then it's also important to get a really good feel for your MDS layout, because if you get an error, your error is going to say error 03. Overhead announcement, second floor carts are ready. it's going to let you know that your error is A0300 or whatever the section is that is erroring you out. It'll tell you where that is, and then you can go there and fix it, and then resubmit your MDS. So hopefully after we have gotten all the way down to Z, I'm hoping that everybody will have a really clear picture on what MDS is, how to complete your assessments, and then if you have any questions, as always, just drop them in the comments below, and I'll try to make each section go a little bit faster. Some of them, there's no way to make them go faster because MDS is a tedious, time-consuming job, so make sure you understand that when you're going into it. So I'll splice this one in behind the first one where I went through and explained each of those sections, and then get everything uploaded today. So you guys have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, whatever it is you celebrate or don't celebrate. I personally don't celebrate Christmas. I just enjoy it through watching others. So like I said, it's Christmas Eve. I'm at work. I'm going to finish this stuff up so I can get home to my grandbabies, and I will see you guys next time. Peace and palm love.